Hey guys, we are Sean and Christy. This is Long Long Honeymoon, and today we come from afar. We're gonna give you 12 fire safety tips.
For those of you that don't speak Southern, that would be fire.
Far. First of all, you need to have a fire extinguisher, and you need to keep it in a place that's easy to access and make sure that everybody knows where it's located. In our trailer, our fire extinguisher is located right next to the door in this handy little contraption which is built into our trailer. This is the original fire extinguisher that was included with our Airstream. It expired. The other tip is to make sure you inspect your fire extinguisher and make sure it is up to date, because these things do have a lifespan and over time they can expire. You need to make sure you know how to use your fire extinguisher. So we're gonna have some special effects right here. We're gonna fire our original fire extinguisher. Are you ready? Wow, I'm impressed. So this is like a 22-year-old fire extinguisher. Well, still seems to be working. Nevertheless, you need to make sure that your fire extinguisher is up to current specs.
So my tip would be have more than one fire extinguisher. We actually carry these little super easy to use fire extinguishers. They're literally like a spray can, like aerosol can. So there's no pin to pull, nothing difficult to do. Kids, this is really easy for children to use, so teach your kids how to use these. We keep one under our kitchen sink here, and actually keep another one next to our bed. That way we aren't scrambling around. We've got one close to us no matter where we are. These are super easy to use. They come in a 2-pack usually, so grab a few of these, stash them in different spots around your RV. If you have kids that camp, in bunks, I would have one near their bunk bed, so they've got a way to protect themselves really easily and it doesn't take up a lot of space. Something that's probably obvious to many of you, but I'll say it anyway, is to not leave anything cooking unattended. So if you're boiling, pasta on your stovetop, or you've got a roast in the oven, whatever, don't walk away from it. I know it's one of those things where at home you might do other things while that's happening, but in an RV especially, I think you need to keep a close watch, because a lot of the things inside an RV are extremely flammable, including the walls. So you don't have a lot of room for air in here, and there's not a lot of room to get out quickly if a fire does start. So eliminating the possibility is your best bet. The other thing I would not leave unattended is cooking appliances that would sit on your stovetop or something, like a crock pot or blender or coffee maker or any of those sorts of things that are pulling electricity, possibly, a potential fire hazard. So don't leave anything plugged in while you're not here. If you want to practice the absolute best fire safety, the best practice is to unplug things when you're not using them. Even if you don't have them turned on, if you unplug them, that just removes the possibility of something shorting out or there being some sort of problem. Just takes away the possibility of it happening.
And I want to make special mention of these little electric space heaters. We do carry with us an electric space heater, which we use from time to time. These things totally suck electricity, but they also are a terrible fire hazard. I'm an escapee of law school, and one thing I learned in law school, there are all sorts of horrible cases that you're forced to read of these space heaters catching fire. So treat these space heaters as an extreme fire risk. Do not leave them unattended for any extensive period of time. Don't leave anything flammable around them or downstream from them. Do not trust them. And really, best practice is not to sleep with them on. There are other better choices to keep you warm throughout the night than to trust an untrustworthy electric space heater. My wife says she would treat this like a lit fire in your camper. I would treat it like an escaped convict. Like if you took in an escaped criminal that had gotten out of prison, you want to always keep an eye on him. Maybe even have a firearm ready. And a fire extinguisher, yes. Just don't trust these things. Oh my God! Let's talk propano, also known as propane. Here we have our 2 propane tanks. these two giant bombs that we carry around with us on the front of our travel trailer. Obviously, you need to give them a visual inspection from time to time. In theory, if propane is leaking, you're going to smell it because there is an odor that they add to the fuel. But you should trust but verify, as the Reagan administration taught us. Come in occasionally and just check these lines and make sure they look okay. And you know, that includes when you get your rig back from a service center. Let me show you what I mean. Here we have our propane water heater, and you will see that one of the propane lines was bent. Long ago, we took our RV to an RV service center and we got it back. Later, we discovered that this line had somehow been damaged by the service center. This was long before we discovered the brilliant Vinny Lamica at Vinny's North Bay Airstream Repair. So, point being, there are different points in your RV setup that you may want to inspect from time to time and make sure they're okay. Now, we've determined that this is safe to operate. Nevertheless, we'll probably be replacing this whole apparatus in the near future. Something else with regard to propane you should keep an eye on are the propane lines that probably run beneath your RV or travel trailer or what have you to your RV kitchen from the tanks. So our tanks are located at the front of our trailer, as I mentioned. Underneath the trailer are propane fuel lines that go back to the kitchen. Now, a few years ago when we were coming back from Alaska, we hit an orange traffic cone and it actually bent some of these propane lines. So if you hit any kind of road debris or have some kind of tire blowout, you need to make sure that you double check those propane lines beneath your rig so that there are no fuel leaks. Let's talk smoke detectors, shall we? Now, your RV probably has a smoke detector built in, but it's a good idea to add a smoke detector or two to your rig. We have one right here, which we've attached Velcro to, because in our trailer, we can slap stuff onto the walls with Velcro. Not a whole lot to say about smoke detectors, except they're cheap and readily available, and you should test them periodically to make sure the battery is working. Push button weekly to test. I guess it's working. Yeah, it's working. Okay, we get the idea.
One important thing to learn in your RV is where is your emergency exit. There's usually only one besides your door, depending on your RV model. Our emergency exit is our back window here. And you pull that up. See how it has these red handles on it? That usually lets you know it's your emergency exit. And all you're gonna do is open your window and then you pull this little piece of rubber, and that is what keeps this screen in place. So once you pull that, the screen will come away and you can just climb right out that window. So we've done it once. We tested it out, it does work, but you can put the screen back in if you need to. So if you try it out and you want to put your screen back in, you just use your little bone tool and you can pop that back in and your screen will be good as new. But definitely make sure that your windows have been unstuck before you leave on a trip, because a lot of times when your RV's been in storage, they'll sort of get like sticky along the bottom. So go ahead before you leave on your trip, open all your windows, make sure that they will open so that you won't have a problem should there be an emergency. All right, guys, as much as you want your RV to smell nice and fresh, leaving these things plugged in when you're not around is a really bad idea. They have a history of catching on fire in regular houses, much less in RVs. So unplug these babies when you're not in your RV. Don't leave them unattended. Honestly, we don't even put candles in our RV just because I feel like they are such a fire hazard in such a small space where you've got so many little curtains or, you know, carpet on the walls, that sort of thing. So we don't even bring candles into our RV. They do have LED candles that you can use, and we have used those in the past. That's a good alternative, but unplug your smell good before you leave your RV.
Or you'll be a sad camper.
Yeah, you won't be a happy camper if it catches on.
Guys, you know what the Germans say? Rauchen verursacht Herzenfalle, which means smoking causes heart attacks. But frankly, a heart attack is the last thing on my mind if I'm smoking inside an RV. It's a bad idea. And for you potheads out there, please step outside to light your joints. It's the least we could ask. Smoking is not the greatest health habit, shall we say. And it seems every year there are some people who are smoking in bed, I guess after certain activities, and they fall asleep with a lit cigarette next to their bed. And yes, that does cause a lot of fires every year. So you probably shouldn't smoke to begin with, but if you do, do not smoke while asleep. Bad idea. Let's talk briefly about generators. I know many of us are carrying portable inverter generators with us with our RV rigs. A couple of things to keep in mind. First of all, storage of fuel sources, especially gasoline. You need to be very careful with the gasoline to make sure that it's secure and cannot possibly spill out, obviously. Secondly, if you're one of those naughty people out there, which includes about 95% of the audience, including myself, who occasionally run a generator from the bed of a pickup truck, you need to make very sure that there's nothing flammable downstream from the exhaust side of the generator, because these portable inverter generator exhausts really kick out a lot of heat, and you would be surprised at what can melt and become flammable if it's exposed to that heat. I have seen plastic melt. Heaven forbid you have a plastic gasoline container downstream from the exhaust side of a generator. So that's it, guys. 12 fire safety tips. We hope you found this video helpful and informative, and nothing catches fire in your RV in the foreseeable future.
All right, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family. Leave us a comment down below. Have you ever had a fire in your RV? We'd be curious to know. Hopefully not, but I know that there are probably a few of you out there who've had that experience and can share your wisdom with us. Anyhow, until next time, what do we say?
We say
Lo lo ho.
Lo lo ho. Now, about the ceramic coating application, there are a couple of different methods that they will use to apply ceramic to a trailer. They can spray the ceramic coating onto the trailer, or they can apply it by hand, but the end result is the same. Every hard surface on the trailer receives the ceramic coating.
Coat everything. So we're coating your entire exterior, all your metal, your emblems, your lights, your labels, your pinstriping, your locks, your propane covers, everything to provide as much protection as we possibly can.
Now, just to be clear, this ceramic coating is quite different from what you might find in a local car shop. This formula has been developed over the past couple of years here in the United States, not in Asia or elsewhere. But not only is this formula extremely hard, Ryan applies 3 coats of it onto the trailer. Technicians go around the trailer in 3 passes. The first 2 coats are pretty thick, and the third coat is thinner and more glossy. This costs around $4,000. Your trailer may be different. For a specific price, you need to talk to Vinny and or Brian.